collection. Special request reach out.
Then turn the webcam on!
International. Yeah. Them style of tribute to request.
Sounds like Mr. Williams on this one, lyrics collection. I thought I had everything nice and ready today.
More than diamond.
Always the way. Good morning, my friends.
Lyrics collection. Let me tell you about my lyrics collection. Watch out now, lyrics collection. Let me show you about my lyrics collection. Not to dread, lyrics with them want to have it more than more. It coming like the sun grain on the seashore, and coming like a fountain non-stop pour. Lyrics when me have to keep them inshore, and stock them from the basement to the 4th floor. Me have my uncle will live on the 5th floor. A nighttime patrol with a 4.
Good morning, good morning.
Sure,
That's better. Everything's sorted out. The exclusive into what's coming up in the future there. Sounds like Mr. Williams on this one with a lyrics collection. We've got a fantastic show on the way and I'm absolutely buzzing for it. My name is Kovu and this is Brekky In The Cave. Out to all the new subscribers. Nearly at 5:30. Another 30 in 4 days, people. We are growing. This is a banger as well. Okay, let this one run through and then we'll get into what we're talking about today. Don't go anywhere. Hit that subscribe button. Let us know where you're listening in from. Throw a like on the video and don't go anywhere. It's Brekky In The Cave.
Tell me something more. Him say youth, me no really want to disturb your tour. Still 2 boy broke in on the 4th floor. Upstairs me there and me a whole a one snore. By the time me wake up and me start explore, me see one of them run off through the side door. Them take one of your pattern from about 94 and take a ashtray. Them not take not no more. Me say alright uncle, everything is insured. And plus furthermore we have enough style galore in our lyrics collection. And not a dread in our lyrics collection. Well watch out now, pattern and style you know we have that pack up. It's like a warehouse with nothing stack up. Enough boy a talk and a chat up. Them done already know say we no wrap up. We're touching at the place and now the whole place block up. We grab the microphone, them a say all and jack up. The girls them hug way up and them 2 arms wrap up. Gunshot a beat, still the place now shut up. But to me lyrics collection, and not to that to me lyrics collection. And watch out now, the boy them take a one piece from the gallery. I only hope that can help them salary. Cause one piece them take say that no matter me. Can't stop it done from touch of Italy. Can't stop it done from touch of Miami.
Sounds of Mr. Williams on this one.
Good quality.
Off of Sound Killer. This one, lyrics collection. Fresh dancehall music to start us off this morning. How are we doing, my friends? It's Brekky In The Cave. That's what we are talking about. Slight technical this morning, obviously. I'd clearly forgotten to that we slightly yesterday. We were recording yesterday, okay? We were recording yesterday, and this was the issue. So we fixed it all up now, so we're all good. Out to everyone locking in nice and early. As I said before, let us know where you're listening in from. We are live on Brekky In The Cave, Trickstar Radio as well. Out to my early morning locking in crew. We've got a fantastic show on the way today. I'm very excited for this one. It's one we've had locked in the book for a while, and I can't wait, to be honest with you, to get into chatting to man like Jafro, man like Benteki, and man like Rants. Like, this is what a show we've got. Don't know how this one's come together, but there we go. Firstly, Jafro at 10:30. We're going to be discussing his new album. Obviously, we're going to be talking about that Black Box Freestyle, which is how myself and so many others first heard of Jafro in a more sort of musical sense. Most of us had seen his appearance on the Red Bull Clashes, but this is where we heard about him musically, and I'm excited. You can see I'm bubbling. I'm buzzing to talk to him. There we go. That's the first of today's guests. Secondly, we are going to be talking to a man like Benteki as well. One of the most respected selectors and I'd say curators of music in and around London when it comes to radio shows. Obviously, his radio show on REPREZENT is seen as one of the sort of platforms that you can really catapult yourself from on his show, and he's been doing it for long enough now as well. So I think it's going to be really good to kind of talk about what to kind of expect when you're putting together a show like that, like some of the most classic memories, some of the biggest clips, and just in general talk about what he's up to. Obviously, talk about what his involvement DJing, and just loads of other things as well. So I'm really looking forward to that one. And then following that, we're going to be talking to man like Rants. Again, a very, very important figure during grime at the time, being one of the most consistent bloggers out there. We're going to be talking to him about Grimy Mondays and everything else he currently has going on. I'm really looking forward to talking to him, to be honest with you. It's going to be a very enjoyable show indeed. We've got some bangers to play for you as well, people. I'm excited. I got up an hour earlier than normal today, just to get a few little bits of admin work done. And you know, I wanted to make sure everything was set and ready. Still managed to forget to turn my camera on, so that's always a fantastic start. But there we go. We are live on Cubcam TV. We're also, of course, live on Trickstar Radio right about now. And following that, we are also live on the podcast if you're listening in through there. And I'll show you exactly how you can check out the podcast. If you go over to the right hand side, you can see, if you simply search Breakfast with KXVU, the interviews on any podcast platform, i.e. Apple Music, Spotify, podcast platform. You can check it out on Spotify, Apple Music, and SoundCloud. As well as that, you can find me on socials on the following, as you can see: Instagram, Facebook, as well as Twitter, and of course SoundCloud. All of those you can find me on at KXVU. There we go. So it's going to be a very enjoyable show indeed, my friends. Really looking forward to this one. We're going to kick off with some bangers, though. That's what we're here to do today. We're here to play bangers and just in general look through good new music. That's what I love to do more than anything else in the world. And this week, I've got to say, we haven't done that many different tunes this week. You know, we've kept it quite like central. We've kept it quite. I've got a playlist essentially this week, which I don't normally have on this show. I normally do when I'm on Trickstar, but when I'm on this show specifically, I don't tend to have a playlist that I run from. I tend to keep it quite varied all the way through. But this is a tune I just can't get away from at the minute. It's a tune I'm absolutely loving, and yeah, it sounds of the Burna Boy. This one, wonderful. Don't go anywhere. It's Brekky In The Cave.
Anywhere I go, mo lati pada sile mi, 'cause my mommy won't want to let me. I know one me person tell me say I'm too lazy. Oluwa bona of leleni. As I dey hustle like I dey buy your okun lazy. No go talk, say me I'm too lazy. Anywhere I go, mo lati pada sile mi, 'cause my mommy won't want to let me. Funkilla. I go show you wonder what it wonderful. You no go believe wetin won't happen. No disturb us when the bed do won't catch you. It's like you dey sleep, but this one pass you. Banga. I think bed do just start. Bonjo. From your feet all over. Bonjo. With somebody that bonjo. 'Cause I'm feeling it in my soul.
To the On The Wax gang locking in this morning. How are you doing, my friends?
Like
Let us know where you're listening in from, people. We like to keep this chat nice and social. Love having a bit of a chit-chat in the mornings. It's a good way to start the day, you know? Wake yourselves up. That's what we're here to do. And play good music, of course, as well. But as I said, let us know where you're locked in from. Throw a like on the video as well. Takes less than a second to do. So do me a favour.
Anywhere I go, mulati pada sile mi, 'cause my mommy won't want to let me. I know one me person tell me say too lazy. Oluwa bona of leleni. As I dey hustle, like I dey buy your okun lazy. No go talk, say me I'm too lazy. Anywhere I go, mulati pada sile mi, 'cause my mommy won't want to let me.
I see those likes creeping up. Good stuff, guys.
You wonder what it wonderful. You no go believe wetin won't happen. No disturb us when the bed do won't catch you. It's like you dey sleep, but this one pass you. Hunger. I think bed do just start. Bonjo. From your feet all over. Bonjo. With somebody that bonjo.
Lovely stuff. stuff on this one coming from Burna Boy, track entitled Wonderful. We are live on Cubcam TV. It's Brekky in the Cave, and yeah, I'm really enjoying the show so far, as I always do. You know, I love doing this show. I love talking to you people. I love really more than anything else, just getting down and looking through new news, new music, and just discussing things. You know, that's I'm one of these annoying people that just loves to talk, and you guys keep it going for me because it means I can talk to you guys. It's brilliant. I love doing this in the morning. Let's look into our first bit of news this morning then. Very interesting bit indeed, coming from Spotify, out of Spotify HQ, as they say. See, we don't just play bangers, we bring you important news as well. Spotify reaches a $50 billion market valuation. Wow, that's huge. Spotify has reached this new market valuation this week. Founded in 2006, Swedish streaming giant Spotify has grown into one of the world's biggest streaming platforms. I mean, it is the biggest, isn't it? I mean, I suppose YouTube is classed as a streaming platform as well, and that would be bigger, but in regards to music, is there anything bigger than Spotify? I don't think there is. I can't imagine Apple Music is bigger than Spotify anymore. But now it has touched a $50 billion market valuation after stocks soared last week. Madness. The shares sold under the name SPOT were up 10% in value last Friday. That's 25th of June, adding around $4 billion in additional market value, as well as an estimated $2.6 billion in public value, giving the streaming service a $50 billion market valuation. That is absolutely huge, my friends. The move follows Spotify's announcement to pilot using the video on the platform after acquiring the rights to Joe Rogan's video podcast series. So essentially, they're going for YouTube now. That's what they're doing. They are gunning for YouTube and going, we want to host at least kind of music and talking content. So I think this will be interesting to see how platforms such as Vivo and platforms, just people who podcast onto YouTube directly, if they end up doing like live podcasting as well, if they end up doing like live video broadcasting, if Spotify get into that market, it could well be a wrap for not YouTube. I think YouTube will survive whatever, but it could well be a wrap for people who podcast through platforms like Twitch and Mixcloud and things like that. I think the second that they are able to offer video streaming, ooh, it's going to be over. That's a bit of a madness, I've got to say. But yeah, let's carry on with this little bit of news here. Constantly adding more user tools and no doubt increasing the platform's value. Spotify also recently debuted group listening. These group sessions that allow premium users to listen to a shared queue of music at the same time. Now, again, this isn't really a new thing, kind of sharing playlists. I mean, it's the new thing of this is having people listening in at the same time, which is cool. It is very cool. But Spotify recently revealed its music relief initiative for artists affected by the coronavirus pandemic as well, which recommends verified organizations that offer financial relief to those in the music industry most in need around the world. The streaming giant also introduced a tipping system which allows fans to donate either to worthy causes or to the artist directly via PayPal or Cash App. Now, this is where it does get interesting, because this is one of the main things that does go on with YouTube. People get tipped on YouTube all the time. Same with Twitch. Same with other streaming platforms. That tipping element is something that really has kind of driven people to get involved with those platforms. So I think this is going to be very interesting to see. They've introduced it not as part of the video platform, but if they have that capability already wired into their network, it's going to be very interesting to see how they then utilize that in a more kind of public way going forward, especially if they are looking to do streaming stuff. Out to Big Five Audio saying 50 billion, wish they would increase the payouts to artists, as well as hearing those figures. After hearing those figures, sorry. There we go. I agree, to be honest with you. But, you know, I don't know the ins and outs of Spotify's working. I do know it sounds very, very low, however. There's no getting away from that. The payouts, I don't know what it is. It's a ludicrous amount of money to make, amount of streams to make £1. I know that. And I think... But to be honest, I think this goes with anything. This is why, to an extent, I prefer YouTube as a platform, because I feel if you can set it up yourself, it's almost autonomous to an extent. You know, you can kind of work with genuinely quite passive income. If you get a few videos that bang, they're going to continue to bang and continue to bang. As long as you can keep up a steady stream of content, you're going to have like an amazing catalogue, along with a constantly evolving stream of content that is going to continuously supply you a monetary income, which is interesting to see. And I think this has been very cleverly done by Spotify, as we analyse the market here from this wonderful room we call the Cave. I think it's interesting. more than anything else, because we can see that Spotify are gearing up to do something. They're gearing up for some kind of content war by the looks of things, which is most likely going to be with YouTube. I think that's who they're going to be grappling with here, because most people upload their video podcast content onto YouTube. Most people upload music videos onto YouTube. Like, that's where they go. So if you were to kind of add those elements into Spotify, so you never have to leave Spotify, it could very much change how things are working. But there we go. Interesting stuff. That one comes to us from DJ Mag, of course, staying very much on top of everything during this lockdown scenario. So let's crack on. Let's crack on with some more music then. We're going to be looking through banger after banger after banger. But what I'm asking of all of you looking in today, as this is a big show, I want to make sure we are getting as much streamability as possible, and we're getting as much natural reach as possible. If you've come here via a link on a social media page, give it a retweet. And if you are locked in right about now, I can see how many of you are locked in. Throw a like on the video. It takes less than a second to do, and that's what we're trying to do. You know, we're trying to make these videos as accessible as possible, because we've got some amazing interviews on the way. Don't forget, in 15 minutes, we're going to be talking to man like Jafro. There we go. And hit the subscribe button. Go on, do us a favor. But yeah, another thing I wanted to say as well is I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors, because we do have a sponsor. It's called Sharpen Digital. They don't pay me anything, of course, but they're a sponsor of the show because they help me out a lot. The alternative to hiring social media managers, and they have helped me grow this channel a lot. So if you are looking to do a social media project that requires a bit of growth and a bit of social media know-how, I'd recommend hitting them up. They do know what they're doing, and they've helped me hit 530 subs in under 100 days. You know, so they're doing bits. That's what I'll say. Let's crack on. Fresh reggae music on the way. Then this one coming from Garnet Silk, going by the name of Hello Africa. Wicked tune. We are live on Cubcan TV and Trickstar Radio, of course. Don't go anywhere. It's Brekky In The Cave.
Mama Africa, Mama Africa, am I coming home? Am I coming home? Hello, Mama Africa, how are you? I'm feeling fine, and I hope you're fine too. Hello, Mama Africa, how are you? I hope when you hear these words, your grace turn blue, grace turn blue. I'm saying these words to let you know how much I care, and I won't let go, even though we're oceans away. You're with me day by day. Memories of you keep flashing through my mind. The very thought of you make my time. Hello, Mama Africa, how are you? I'm feeling fine, and I hope you're fine too. Hello, Mama Africa, how are you? I hope when you hear these words, your grace turn blue, grace turn blue. Don't you worry now, I won't be long. Sweet paradise, I'm coming soon. When I'm with you, I can't be wrong. If not in May, then you'll see me in June. Hello, Mama Africa, how are you? I'm feeling fine, and I hope you're fine too. Hello, Mama Africa, how are you?
Sounds of Garnet Silk on this one. Hello Africa. Wicked tune. Fantastic stuff. That's what I'm talking about.
Grace turn blue. The sweetest things are there to be found. The golden sunshine, the wind that blows around. The fresh vegetation which comes from the earth. Oh, Mama Africa, you make me know what life is worth.
Sounds of Garnet Silk. Let's crack on then, my friends. We are live here on Brekky In The Cave. having a fantastic time this morning. It's going to be a very enjoyable show for the rest of the way through. We are going to be talking to Jafro in just under 10 minutes. Again, an interview I've been looking forward to doing for absolutely ages. One of my favourite artists in the UK right now. So versatile with what he does. He always jumps between kind of melodic singing and a more kind of a rap approach. It's really, really cool to see how far he's come. And just to see the kind of expanse of the new music he's making. We've got some exclusives in the bag as well, which I'm really looking forward to getting into. First place, you're going to hear a couple of them. So, yeah, let's crack on then, shall we? More news for you guys this morning. Now, it has been a very, very hot couple of weeks here in the UK. Now, I won't lie, I'm struggling. I'm not too good with the heat. I tend to just sweat out and it's horrible. It's not an ideal kind of scenario for me. However, I know a lot of people enjoy it, which means, realistically, you just have to kind of crack on with it. Let's be real with it. However, I found a list here of the best gadgets for keeping cool as the heat wave continues across the UK. So there is a JML Chillmax Air. Now this thing looks pretty useful. It's essentially a fan, but it's a big square box. It's interesting indeed. Looking at this, it says there's no need for a desktop fan. This little beauty is a personalized air conditioner. Okay, interesting. There we go. That one's called the, going by the looks of it, that one's called the JML Chillmax Air. Following that, there is a vest you can get. It's called a Tech Niche International Adult Hypercool cooling sport vest, and it is literally like a bulletproof vest that you wear that keeps you cool. Now, I'm not entirely against this, but I'll tell you what would be a good idea for festivals. I think what would be a really good idea is if you could do like a festival and have the and have it yellow, because this one's blue, but if you could have it like a luminous yellow and still have it the same thing, so you could wear it and it would cool you down. I think that's a great idea. The IntSun, mini handheld USB misting fan. Apparently, it puts cool water out into the air. It works via USB, and it's just a fan that puts cold water into your face. Dyson Pure Cool Tower Advanced Technology Air Purifier Fan. Now, this thing just looks like a big paperclip, so I don't really know what's going on with that one. The Stay Cool Ice Towel. Now, my friends. This is what I'm talking about. I've lost the towel, but I've got the box, so you know I have one. I can recommend this thing any day of the week. What it does... this isn't an advertisement, by the way. I've just realised how much of an advert this sounds like. But this thing, honestly, I don't know where it's gone, because I really want to, but I think it might be under my big pile I've got in the corner. But basically, what you do, you wrap it, you wear it as a towel, or you wrap it into a bandana or whatever, you attach a little bit of water to it, and it keeps you entirely cool. But there we go. I've just seen myself flashback on the YouTube as I've been doing it. It's not an advert. I genuinely really like this thing. It makes a massive difference. And it keeps me cool pretty much the entire time around. So there we go. There's some interesting ones on this gadget list. I'm not going to sit here and go through all the pros and cons of each individual one. But I would recommend getting the Stay Cool towel, because it makes a huge difference. You know, it keeps you cool. And I think something that I do find with when the weather gets warmer is it's still important to stay cool. You know, you can be warm, you can go out and tan, you can go out and lie and sunbathe and all those good things there. However, staying keeping your body temperature, especially your head, below a certain level is good. Otherwise, I mean, I don't know if anyone in here has ever had sunstroke. It's one of the worst things you can have. It literally feels atrocious. It literally feels like every single hangover you've had happening at once in your head. And the thing is, you don't look any different. You just tend to be completely stumped. It tends to completely throw you. And it's bizarre. Honestly, it's one of the most bizarre things I've ever had happen to me. So be careful out there in the heat. That's all I'm saying. Get a Stay Cool towel or any of the other things. Just make sure you don't overheat, because it's the worst thing, getting sunstroke. Right, let's crack on with some more good music then this morning. This one coming from Jules, the remix of Clipses Again, which does of course feature Miss Banks alongside JK and of course the legendary Miss Dynamite. We've heard the Red Light remix of this as well. So yeah, this is a good tune. It's a fantastic tune. What I wanted to say to everyone locking in right now, out to is it Ciara? I don't know how you pronounce it. I think it's Ciara. Ciara Hodson for subscribing to the channel. Thank you very much indeed. I'm assuming you are locked in. There we go. Hit that subscribe button, my friends. We are now on the road to 600 subs. We hit 500 on Sunday. We're now approaching, I think we've just hit 530, so now we're aiming for 550. Hopefully by the end of the week we can hit 550, and then by the end of next week we can hit 600. If we can keep going up at 50 a week, that would be an absolutely amazing feat. Realistically, if we can carry on going going up 50 a week for doing this show and doing reaction videos, that will be an amazing thing. I've just remembered as well, it's Thursday. That means stick around on the channel later on, because from around 6-ish, 7-ish, 8-ish, 9-ish, that's when people start to drop their music videos for tomorrow. Obviously, tomorrow is Music Industry Release Day. It's Friday. It's New Music Friday. People have started, obviously, dropping their videos on the Thursdays to drill up some hype for the releases and make sure they can get up those charts a lot quicker. So yeah, that's what we're seeing. We really are seeing so many good music videos drop on the Friday, so that on the Thursday, sorry. So that's when I'm doing my reaction videos. I sit here from around 6-ish, strap in, just browsing every new release, and I get them all done in one go, and that's what I like to do. And you can find them all on the channel. Obviously, we do a series called Cub Reacts. That is the reaction series we have on this channel. Check out the top 5 series as well. Loads of good content in there. We look through the top 5 releases of different UK music producers. We're not doing one this week. We finished the first season now, so we're going to have a little break from it and then come back to it in a few weeks, because they're tiring videos to make, I've got to say. But yeah, we've got a load of other things coming. We've got a couple of collaborations. Me and Danny are starting a few things up. So what I'm saying is, it's definitely worth subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. It's very much worth doing. But just because there's going to be loads of good stuff on the way, you know, and I think that's a very important thing. To keep the channel varied, but also keeping it on topic. I think that's one of the most important things that we need to do here, purely because there's just so much we can do. We're going to be doing food videos. We've been doing a couple of food reaction videos, but moving forward, realistically, I did used to be a chef. I know what I'm talking about when it comes to food. We are going to be doing a few food videos along the way when things open up and we can get into a kitchen space and not be super, super cramped. My kitchen at home isn't that great, so I'd rather do it in a space that looks good more than anything else. So there we go. We're going to get into this new one from Jules in just a second. But yeah, out to everyone locked in this morning. Out to the Big 5 audio gang. Out to On The Wax as well. Don't forget, in about just under 4 minutes, we're going to be talking to man like Jafro, and I am super, super excited for this one, purely because, as I've said before, he's one of my favourite artists in the UK right now, and I think it's very difficult to actually find many people who are as versatile and as solid within their versatility as Jafro. So that's why that's the main reason I'm super excited for it, just because it's going to be a fantastic one, you know? There we go. Right then, let's get into this one from Jules, as I said before, featuring, who is it featuring? Miss Banks, alongside JK, and of course, Miss Dynamite. Legendary selection on this one. I've heard the Red Light remix, clips on the original. Let's get into it right about now. We are live on Brekky In The Cave.
Jules, baby.
How I miss say again. Long time, me not come again. Every time me touch on money, reading problem. One go tell your bedroom, me say, one go tell your friend, we are the remedy, how we have the thing. Me say again. Long time, me not come again. Every time me touch on money, reading problem. Understand, I know you like it. Hear them bad out, pull it up and
Jules.
Hey yo, they ain't never better than me. You ain't never met a real killer MC. Name, hold, weight, that's 100 empty. Lick off a shot and leave the clip empty. I mean, you ain't messing with the team. Brothers loving off my thing, they see me in their dream. Busting out the jeans, get it popping like the steam. Laser beam, you ain't messing with the team.
How I miss say again. Long time, me not come again. Every time me touch on money, reading problem. One go tell your bedroom, me say, one go tell your friend, we are the remedy, how we have the thing. Me say again.
Enough of that. This one's too much. It's too much. It's that simple. It's just too much.
Jules, baby.
How I miss say again. Every time me touch on money, reading problem. One go tell your bedroom, me say, one go tell your friend, we are the remedy, how we have the thing. Me say again. Long time, me not come again. Every time me touch on money, reading problem. Understand, I know you like it. Hear them bad out, pull it up and rewind it.
Hey yo, they ain't never better than me. You ain't never met a real killer MC. Name, hold, weight, that's 100 empty. Lick off a shot and leave the clip empty. I mean, you ain't messing with the team. Brothers loving off my thing, they see me in their dream. Busting out the jeans, get it popping like the steam. Laser beam, you ain't messing with the team.
How I miss say again. Long time, me not come again. Every time me touch on money, reading problem. One go tell your bedroom, me say, one go tell your friend, we are the remedy, how we have the thing. Me say again. Long time, me not come again. Every time me touch on money, reading problem. Understand, I know you like it. Hear them bad out, pull it up and rewind it.
Let it go, let it go, let it go.
Every time they see me when I step into the room, pulling out the camera, see the flash and do the zoom. You know it's a madness when I'm mashing up the tune. But I'll spin your favourite rapper and I'm sending to the moon. Long time, good to see you soon. Still a rapper, still an actor, been a trapper, been a goon. Kiss me by the morning, they won't need to see the noon. Baba boom, baba boom.
How I miss say again. Long time, me not come again. Every time me touch on money, reading problem. One go tell your bedroom, me say, one go tell your friend, we are the
Right then, we're going to be jumping onto the phone with a man like Jafro in just a couple of minutes. Well, about a minute, to be honest with you.
I know you like it. Hear them bad out, pull it up and rewind it. See me, see the hit, girl, I come.
What?
See me, see so calm down. You don't really want no one, no. And you don't wanna take this thing away, me say me know. Every time you touch on money, reading problem. Gonna tell your bedroom, me say, gonna tell your friend, we are the remedy, we have the thing. Me say again, long time you not come again. Every time you touch on money, reading problem. Gonna tell your bedroom, me say, gonna tell your friend, we are the remedy, we have the thing. Me say again, long time you not come again. Every time you touch on money, reading problem. Understand, I know you like it. Hear them all out, pull it up and rewind it.
All right then, my friends, we are back on Cubcam TV. It's Brekky In The Cave. We are live on Trickstar Radio and youtube.com/Cubcam TV. Of course, we're joined by our first guest of the day, and I'm super excited for this one. It's one I've wanted to do for a while. Man like Jafro is in the building. How are you doing, sir?
Yo, what's good? I'm all good, man. How about you?
I'm good, sir. I'm good. It's been a good start to the week, I think, and just in general, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good this week. We're nearly at 500 subs, so that's a good place to be.
That's good. It's progress.
Progress, definitely, sir. So obviously with this one, I've been keen to do this one for a while because obviously I've been following what you've been doing for a while, pretty much all the way back to the Black Box freestyle. As soon as that popped, I've been very much following closely everything you've been kind of doing.
Okay.
So I mean, for me, it does kind of seem like that was a bit of a transitional moment for yourself. Like, can you kind of take me back to when that came out? Like, do you remember how the reaction for it was?
Yeah, I remember actually doing it as well. That's the thing. Like, I remember just everything about that day was just mad. Like, obviously I'd gone down there, big up Black Box every single time as well, by the way, because like they're the guys. Like they're just, yeah, big up them every single time. Clean, pure-hearted people, like good energies and that. So big up them every time. But yeah, like I remember sort of going down there, doing the freestyle. The energy in the room was just mad that day. Like they were quite busy that day as well. So I remember I was kind of like, I wanted to go through it, just like a little practice run, because the bit that, so like obviously it's split up with part 1 and part 2.
Yeah,
so
of course.
Part 1, I'd basically like put loads of like different tunes together, and then obviously what I'd done is like I just kind of like made like a little mashup of them, and that sort of made up like part 1, that freestyle there. And then part 2, I'd learned about like, got perfected like about like half an hour before doing it.
Oh wow, so it was pretty much just straight out the fryer and straight in.
Yeah. So like obviously like I'd been writing it a little bit prior and that, but yeah, like I'd actually sort of like finally got it.
Yeah.
Like sort of perfected half an hour just before. So yeah, it was quite mad. Obviously I was like practicing it, going over, and then when I got in there, I was thinking, yeah, like, let me have a practice run. And I went over it just to sound check and that. And then I remember him saying, we just got to go straight into it. So I was just like, right, let's do it.
Yeah. So, do you reckon to an extent that kind of, or not, I don't even want to say nervousness, because I don't think you come across as a nervous person at all, but do you reckon that kind of almost like instant impact of going, oh, wow, we've got to try it. Do you reckon that's actually made it a more memorable thing?
I think, I wouldn't say per se. I'd just say like I'd remember it anyway. I feel like
yeah.
I remember all my freestyles, like all my tunes and stuff like that. Like when I record them and whatnot. So, and I remember like the ways that I create all my songs. So, I mean, like, yeah, I guess I'd remember it anyway. I feel like it didn't make it any more special than what it was. Because to me, like everything, I feel like everything that I've done for myself, like I'm proud of. Like, yeah, I look at the Black Box the same way I'd look at, you know, some of the lesser known songs that I've made or freestyles that I've done. So I think for me, like, personally, I'd say no.
Okay.
But I feel like the energy in the room was impacted that day just by like the way that it had come about, the turns of events. So like me, like I was sort of a little bit more edgy about the second half. So I'd say, yeah, but I was still confident in it. Like I was still like always feeling like, yeah, this is sick. As per usual business, you know what I mean? Contract killer stuff. You got to get up there, shoot your shot. You know what I mean? So,
I mean, with that freestyle specifically, I feel. I'm going to feel this way because it's when I first came across your stuff. But I feel for yourself that was quite a transitional period because I remember seeing stuff shared all over Twitter. I remember the all of the sort of anime stuff being clipped and that being just that flying out everywhere. Like, did you have any idea it was going to get that level of reaction?
To be honest with you, no. Like. The bit, because that bit kind of felt like, because basically one of my mates had just like sent me this instrumental the day before, as I say, and I was just like, yeah, this sounds sick. I started singing over it, and then I was like, I don't feel like it's enough. So for the section that I had, I felt like I didn't feel like I had enough, so I just kind of found like old verses of mine and just thought like, let me just reuse them in a better way and kind of like put them all together and stuff and make something new. And it was sick to like, I don't know, be able to do that. And I think like when I listened back to it, I guess I didn't expect it to do just what it did. Yeah, of course. Because like it was quite nuts, the fact that like, I mean, like DJ Semtex was playing it on radio, like. What, as in the actual black box, the actual the black box recording was being played as a tune? Yeah, like, that's what was so nuts about it. Like, I never really expected, like, a freestyle to be played by, like, I mean, like, this guy interviews Drake and Kanye, and, you know what I mean? Like, so I was just a bit like, raw, like, this is quite nuts, you know what I mean? So, yeah. Definitely, man. I didn't expect it to do that, but, I just remember making it and thinking, like, a day before, I've got enough now, so I'm ready. I just remember being ready and feeling ready. I didn't really sort of expect that. I just wanted to always make sure that like I put out that quality product at the end of the day. So
there we go. I think something quite interesting that we can kind of dive into from here, and I think this is where I think that kind of turning point idea comes from for me. Obviously, before that, you had been around, you had been making music, you had been putting stuff out there, and obviously you'd been involved in the sort of clash tournaments and things like that. Like, what was the kind of I want to say, like, how did that transition take place? Because obviously clash formats in general, they tend to be quite, not one-dimensional, but you're there to do kind of one thing, obviously. But with your sound, and especially that black box freestyle, you do so many different things. There's a lot of, like, harmonized vocals to an extent. There's a lot of, like vocal movement. Like, how do you think that transition kind of took place? Is it something that was always there, or do you feel it's something you've kind of grown into?
Yeah, I feel like it's something that's always been there. Like, it's weird that you use the word transition, because for me, I feel like you say like transition from a clash battler to something like that, but I feel like I've always been making music, so I've not always been like doing the clashing stuff. So when I did the clashing stuff, that was actually a transition for myself from the normal music me, because like I'd gone to like college to study performing musician, got my performing musician diploma, and like I was in like a band making music with a few bandmates, and like whilst I was doing Jafro stuff as well at the same time. And then obviously that's when the Jafro stuff's kind of heated up a bit more. Cameron's giving me and Ski the shout for Red Bull GRIMEY side, and then we've just basically gone on there and shelled that, and like that was amazing. Obviously shout Red Bull every single time, but and shout Cameron and Ski as well, big up them, LC Dons, all of that. But yeah, it was a transition from the music to the clashing, really. And then I think what's happened is people have seen a lot of the clashing stuff because of the platform it was quite a prestigious platform, and like then obviously people have seen the black box go viral as well, like kind of viral, I guess. But yeah, it's one of them ones really where I think it's been more so a transition from music to clashing, and then to like the public eye or whatever. It's kind of like the other way around. Say that again, sorry. Then to like from like a public perspective, it's almost looked like it's the other way around. That makes sense. Yeah. But if like you'd obviously been following the journey from before that, then you know obviously about me being in a band and whatnot. Know about like the singing me, not just the spitting me, if you get what I mean. So
Yeah. I mean, it's quite an interesting story, and I think as well to have like I feel with most people's kind of musical careers, you tend to get these kind of like pinpoints of like moments. You know, you get these kind of things. Of, that was a moment. That was a moment. That was a moment. That tune. That was a moment that hit. And I feel obviously those two are quite like, and I think they're going to be two impactful ones for anyone's kind of career. You know, obviously having like I think in today's kind of climate, that idea of having a freestyle video go, as you say, sort of semi-viral is almost like that's gold dust. I feel.
Yeah, definitely. Because I mean, the thing is as well is like, it just helps with absolutely everything. Like once you've got them eyes on you, you can actually like sort of say like, look, like I've got other stuff as well. Like I don't just do this. Like I do like X, Y, Z, and you can point people towards that. And like it gives you a good opportunity to show and like display the artist that you can be. So that's why, personally, for me, I felt like, yeah, it definitely is gold dust. Like, opportunities like that, you just have to eat the mic, honestly.
Definitely, man. Okay, cool. Well, I'm glad we've kind of touched on that, because obviously I like to kind of get backstories on people, you know? I like to kind of build up, like, where people have come from, because what I always say on the show is if you can understand where someone's come from musically, you tend to be able to grasp what they're doing a lot more. You know, you tend to be able to get, like, a bigger understanding of what they're doing and who they are. So on that topic, we are going to jump into one of the tunes you sent over, which I'm very grateful you have done. We're going to get into this one called Ay Caramba. Now, talk to me about this one.
So, recently, I've been making my album. Shout out Manish Cooler, Lytech, Laupak, who else? I'm trying to think of all of the producers, really. But yeah, basically, shout out everyone that's obviously producing on my album. Yeah, I've been working on that. And whilst I was working on a tune for the album, I remember going into the next room in the studio and seeing DJ Kaz and Manis working on the next beat, and I was just listening into it, and I was like, this is cold. This is cold. I was like, this is mine. So, and like, I was just like, they didn't have a say in it. Like at that point, I would have clashed someone for that.
That's sick, though. I think, do you find that often when you're putting tunes together, though? Do you find to an extent that there's there'll be a moment where you hear something, you go, that's the one, and it just clicks like instantly?
Yeah, definitely. Like, and the thing is as well is what's mad is like your music taste changes over time as well. So like the reason why I snapped at that so quick was obviously Manish had just like showed me a tune, and I was like, this beat's mad. Like, why didn't you show me this beat? And he was like, bro, I did. Like, you turned it down a while back. So I was like, right, I'm making sure this never happens again. And like, I heard Ay Caramba, and I was like, bro, this is mine, innit?
There we go. Awesome, man. But we're going to get into this one now. We are live on Cubcam TV. It's Brekky In The Cave, Trickstar Radio, all of that good stuff. Hit that subscribe button, as you can see on the button below, right there. Yes. We're live on the line with Jafro. Don't go anywhere.
Hey, they're gonna get naughty, you know. Gonna get saucy, you know. It's Jafro. Ay caramba, ay caramba, ay caramba. This one's a feisty mama. She's got the nicest bumper. Ay caramba, ay caramba, ay caramba. This one's a feisty mama. She's got the nicest bumper. They be so, whatever floats your boat, but that's cause your wave's missing. I drip like an ocean, my wave different. I'm a bit like Oshma, my yay different. I'm no road man, I be where the pavement is. So bad, I'm corrupting the way she thinks. Magnum drinker, spice rum sipper. That's cause I love the taste of it. Ay caramba, ay caramba, ay caramba. This one's a feisty mama. She's got the nicest bumper. Ay caramba, ay caramba, ay caramba. This one's a feisty mama. She's got the nicest bumper. Ay caramba, I kind of want her. I'm the thunder god, she likes the thunder. Wine for puppy, I like to watch her. My eyes are on her. Wine and salsa, my kind of mama. She likes the ice, set my sights as high as the sunset skies of summer. Tryna sip a bottle of the spice rum with a spicy mama, feisty mama. Ay caramba, ay caramba, ay caramba. This one's a feisty mama. She's got the nicest bumper. Ay caramba, ay caramba, ay caramba.
Right then, friends, we're back inside the building. It's Brekky in the Cave. We're live on Cubcam TV and, of course, Trickstar Radio. Out to the locked-in crew each and every time. Man, that Jafro is on the line. That one, obviously, going by the name of I Carumba, and we kind of briefly touched on it beforehand. But I do want to dive into a bit of a discussion about the album. Like, I want to kind of look through how you're finding the process of building the project more than anything else.
I think the main thing is having fun and feeling a connection with the music. Like, recently, I don't know, there's been something about the music that I've just been making that's just been making me fall back in love with that writing process. And that's the thing that, like, I love about music. One of the biggest things that I love about music is just being in that studio, just making the music, enjoying yourself, having such a good time, and then listening back to the music afterwards and being like, yeah, like, I make that. I'm proud of that. Like, so that's one of the biggest founding factors for me as well. And also is working with other people. Like, shout out all the producers as well, man, because they've got good, clean energies that I just, like, I get on with them really well. So obviously that's like Low Fades, Light Tech, Man Is Cooler, Loud Pack, obviously. Shout out all them, man. Like, them man are about it when it comes to this producing stuff. So.
Like, I think it's something that is very important, and I think it is something that isn't really talked about enough, is that usually when people are making an album, it isn't just one person. There usually is a kind of team involved, you know. There usually are like 2 or 3 or 4 producers involved. There's obviously an engineer involved as well. Like, I feel that whole kind of process of being around people that you enjoy the company of, like, how essential do you think that is in this kind of process?
Oh, I think it's really essential. I think if I can't be in a room with you and chill with you for like a long period of time, then I don't want to be really making music with you. I don't feel like that's what's gonna, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like that's gonna be best at the end of the day. Like, I feel like you need to be able to, like, get on with the people that you're working with, and you need to be able to, like, sort of understand them and understand their energy and what they're going to be bringing to the product. Because at the end of the day, you want everyone firing at 100%.
Definitely.
You don't want someone sat there in the room thinking something about you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, for me, I just feel like, like, I get on with them well. So, do you know what I mean? It definitely helps, because obviously everyone's firing at 100%, and when that's the case, then you just can't be beaten, and you're gonna make the best, like, possible product. So
definitely, man. I mean, we kind of spoke a little bit off air as well about the idea of being consistent and making sure that obviously works don't stop, and it is a constant flow of new music. Yep. Like, I'm assuming that the reason for it is kind of almost falling in love with the sound you're making to an extent. But, like, how do you keep yourself motivated? Because you do seem to just be constantly putting new stuff out there. There doesn't really seem to be a dip off.
I think what it is I'm a fan of music. I love music as a whole, and I feel like music is what I'm here to make. Music's what I love, so it's what I have, like, a passion for. So I just feel like it doesn't really feel like I'm working, if you get what I mean. I know I say I'm working on an album, I know I say I'm putting in work, etc., but, like, for me, it just feels like just I'm chilling. Like, it's just what I'd normally be doing. Like, this is fun for me, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like I'm working, I feel like I'm just enjoying myself. Like, this is, you know, say for example, you'd want to go to the park and kickball or something, or you'd want to sit down, watch TV, or you want to play a PlayStation. Like, the same way, I'd just be like, like, do you know what, I want to write a tune. Like, for me, it's lit. So
there we go. I mean, that's cool to hear. And I think as well, something that is very, like, apparent in your sound, and it's become more and more apparent over time, I feel, is the fact that you're having fun. You know, it's something you can tell with the sound you're putting together. A lot of the instrumentation and the instrumentals you choose a lot of the time as well, they're quite fun. They're very kind of uplifting. They're upbeat. There's a lot of kind of positivity coming through what you're saying, even if what you're discussing isn't necessarily the most positive thing in the world. Like, or it's like a sadder type of vibe. I tend to find with the tunes you do, they always have an uplifting element, a fun element to them. Like, again, is that something you kind of do on purpose, or is it something you just find naturally happening?
I think that's something that is found per se by the listener, I'd say. I feel like, you know, when I've heard a lot of different opinions and thoughts about my music, and I feel like your musical experience when you're listening is based on you, what you enjoy, what you perceive, I think. So I'd say it may come across that way, but I just think it just happens naturally, I guess. So you could say I'm kind of yes and no about this, because it's kind of like I'm having fun whilst I'm making these tunes, even the sadder songs, even the, do you know what I mean? For me, it's a nice release to be able to put that into a song, and like that's out there now, you know, like that I made art out of this. So even though it was a tough time for me, I still made something productive out of it. That gives me a good feeling. That gives me a sense of pleasure from that. And at the same time, I'm not necessarily just specifically doing this on purpose, but I guess it just does come out because of the fact that I'm having so much fun in the studio.
There we go. Yeah, I think that's that's what I'm kind of getting at more than anything else, is the idea that you can kind of take in this kind of, to an extent, I feel that element of fun that you have whilst you're making the music and you're enjoying it. I think that's what translates quite well into your sound.
Yeah,
I think
it is infectious. Yeah, it is infectious.
Definitely, man. Okay, cool. Let's jump into the second track on today's listing then. We have been supporting this one here on Breakfast. This one goes by the name of My Brothers. Now, talk to me about this one. How did this one come together?
Yes. Again, I was in studio with Manish and we just made a madness, really. Like, we were putting together a beat, I remember, and I just remember sort of crafting it, and we decided out of a few samples what we wanted to use, and then Manish just basically just ended up making a madness, and you know what I mean? I had to make sure that I delivered as well. There
we go. I mean, this one's definitely one of my favourites from yourself, so I'm really excited to get into it this morning. We are live on Cubcam TV, youtube.com/Cubcam TV. That is, hit that subscribe button on the channel. Man like Jafro joins us this morning. One time, whilst you're here, actually, what is the best social media tag for people to get hold of you on?
Official Jafro on Twitter and Instagram.
There we go. Good stuff. Let's get into this one then. Don't go anywhere, my friends. It's Brekky In The Cave, Trickstar Radio.
Ladies and gentlemen, you could have been anywhere, but right now you're here being entertained by the saucy sounds of Jafro and Manish Cool. God bless me and all my brothers, yeah. Yeah, I put that on my mothers, yeah. God bless me and all my brothers, yeah. Yeah, I put that on my mothers, yeah. God bless me and all my brothers, yeah. Yeah, I put that on my mothers, yeah. God bless me and all my brothers, yeah. Yeah, I put that on my mothers, yeah. I bust that block boy JD shoe dance so hard that my Timberland boot ties came off. You won't see me with the new gang, no dog. I'ma still be with the same ones since day one. Oh, wait, you thought you were cooler? Shango the fun, the god, the man is cooler. Keep your pupils on me and I'll school ya. My heart so cold, my chest feels like a cooler. Stone cold like I'm staring at Medusa. I drove so much heat, they tell me cool, nah. Boy, I'm far from a loser, and you can even check that with a ruler. Then I rewind me, call me sounding like the future. No wonder they're excited for the new ones, cause every time I drop they say the Jaguar's too much. But let me say a prayer for my true ones. Go like, God bless me and all my brothers, yeah. Yeah, I put that on my mothers, yeah. God bless me and all my brothers, yeah. Yeah, I put that on my mothers, yeah. God bless me and all my brothers, yeah. Yeah, I put that on my mothers, yeah. God bless me and all my brothers, yeah. Yeah, I put that on my mothers, yeah.
Right then, friends, we're back inside the building. This is Brekky In The Cave. It's Cubcam TV. It's Trickstar Radio. It's all of them good things. And we are on the line with man like Jafro. Now, a question I want to ask you, my friend, is what's the sort of future plans for yourself? Because, as I've said before, there seems to be so many different elements to what you do, like musically. Are there any kind of areas you want to explore that you haven't got around to doing yet?
I'd like to go into acting and explore acting. I feel like that's going to be something that I do in the future. But right now, the focus is on music, and the focus is on just getting that album out there and making that the best album that I could possibly make. So yeah.
Definitely, man. I think it's quite cool. Like in regards to like the difference between putting singles out and kind of putting like one-off pieces out and putting the album out there. Like, how much do you kind of switch the method up in regards to like obviously the promo side of things, the sort of planning? Like, how big is the difference?
What do you mean, like in regards to how it's compared from an album to a single? Or
yeah, I mean the sort of like the planning process, because obviously you've got to think about like getting the videos together and stuff like that. Like how much did that sort of process switch from a single to an album?
I think when it comes to an album, what I like to do is make sure that this is going to be my first album actually that I'm actually dropping, because like I've dropped like a playlist kind of mixtape before, EP before, but this is like a more so much more of an album anyway.
Am I just to jump in quickly, am I right in thinking you did one of the projects you put out there was called The Greatest Playlist Ever?
Yeah.
That's just literally flashed back into my head, and I was like, I mean, a fantastic choice of name, I've got to say.
Yeah, definitely. Now, if you listen to it, you'll understand why I call it that. But it just so happened it became the greatest playlist ever. So you know, I mean, by default. So, but when it comes to, in answer to your question, when it comes to the difference between an album and a single, I think when it comes to a single, what I like to do is make sure that like the video will be filmed, we know it's going to be going out, like, and sort of planning that video and making it in. Whereas with an album, I think it's more what it appears with this album anyway is I'm going to be looking at picking a few of not just the strongest tracks, but the tracks that I like the most, I think.
Okay, yeah.
And because they may not be like the strongest per se, like anyone that makes music will know and understand what I'm referring to when I say that sometimes your best track may not be your favorite track, if you get what I mean.
Of course.
So it may not be the one that like would go the furthest in the public eye, but if you've got a song on your album, then I think it would be quite foolish to neglect that if it's gonna like do the best out of the album just because it's not your favorite song. Don't mean to say that you don't do it. So I wanna mix in there of the tracks that I think are going to do really well and also my favorite tracks, so that I can look back at it and say, yeah, like I genuinely put my heart and soul into that, and I know full well that the plan was people to approve as well as the music doing well.
There we go. Yeah, I think that's a good thing to kind of strike, and I think to an extent actually that is a kind of situation and a balance that people do really struggle with. I think in general, kind of manoeuvring between almost like the pop appeal and the almost integrity of it to an extent. It's kind of finding that balance between the two and which elements of it you push. I mean that's the maddest thing. That's something that's never been discussed in any interview I've brought up. That kind of finding that balance in the way things are pushed. So yeah, it's an interesting one to dive into. Like, in regards to like your sort of musical plans, then I'm assuming everything you're working on now is kind of going into a pot basically for the album.
Well, no, actually, the album's pretty much already been decided. I feel like at this point, if the album feels like it's missing a track, then I'm gonna go and create that track. But I just feel like the album's already sort of like it's already been decided. I'm still like deciding on what order it's gonna be and stuff like that. So I'm gonna be like constantly swapping and changing around the order, listening to it, just trying to like get a feel for what it actually sort of feels like, rather than just because like you listen to music differently. So as an artist, when you come out of the studio and you make a track and then you listen to it 3 months down the line, it's a different feel, and I want to make sure that I get the most honest feel from the album so that I can put it out as best possible. So I feel like if there's going to be any missing tracks, I'm going to be creating those tracks. But apart from that, the music that I'm currently working on is half album, half sort of what's going to come after the album.
Okay, cool.
And like I've already got like a few releases sort of lined up after that album as well.
There we go.
I'm just trying to make sure that I'm planning and just staying as proactive as possible.
Amazing, man. I mean, we're about to run out of time, so we're going to jump into one more tune. But I've got to say, it's been really, really good to chat to you this morning. Obviously, get a bit of a look into the sort of like the mindset behind the music and everything like that, and obviously hear about the album. It's genuinely been an absolute pleasure to have you on. So thank you, sir. Thank you for coming on.
No worries. Thank you so much for having me, man. Thank you.
No worries at all. So we're gonna finish up with this one coming from yourself. I need to stop that clapping sound effect. Let's go. We're going to jump into one more from yourself. This one goes by the name of Peace. Talk to me about this tune.
Peace came from a tough place, man. Well, let me tell you something. I came out on the other side. I was much better. I was much stronger. So shout out Low Fades. And yeah, man, this one's Peace. It's a special one.
There we go. We're going to finish up with this one. Massive shouts out to Jafro for jumping on the line with us this morning. We're going to be getting into a chat with Benteki in just a few minutes. Jafro, my friend, we'll speak soon. And yeah, stay in touch.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me.
No worries at all. Right, keep it locked, my friends. Don't go anywhere. It's Cubcam TV.
Oh, I'm the Amazon boy from the jungle. I'm the Jaguar. Oh, I'm the Guyanese boy. I would rather throw the peace sign up than have a peace by my side to keep the peace around me. But they don't wanna give me no peace of mind and let my mind rest in peace. You get a piece of my mind before you even get a whiff of the piece of my pie base. Like you don't want a piece of me. Nah, you don't want a piece of. Life keeps switching up, man, it's so perplexing. But I ain't pressed, I can cope with pressures. You on the other hand, crushed by the pressure, man, that's so depressing. I just treated the pressure like shoulder presses. And I done loads of sets and I got loads of reps in. Now I hold the strength to rip your soul from your solar plexus. Just know that everything I own or I'm gonna be getting, I had to go and get it. Let's go and get it. I've come for revenge and honey's in my bed and a slice of the cheesecake, a money-filled briefcase. But check it, thou shalt not change thy tune, and thou shalt not play by rules, and thou shalt not play thy fool, cause that's how thou get played by fools. I'm the Amazon boy from the jungle. Yeah, I'm the Jaguar. I'm the Guyanese boy. And I tell him like, I'd rather throw the peace sign up than have a peace by my side to keep the peace around me. But they don't wanna give me no peace of mind and let my mind rest in peace. You get a piece of my mind before you even get a whiff of the piece of my pie base. Like you don't want a piece of me. Nah, you don't want a piece of me. I hope you know what I gave for this. All the pain that I take for this, the way I went out my way for this, yeah. I work like a slave for this. Now let me show you what greatness is, Now I'm sick of all these dons that were the biggest in their pond, but it be different when you're swimming in the sea. They don't wanna see me winning, they be saying something fishy going on because they seen a brother jumping upstream. I just rearranged my time and I got the right item. I don't need to spell it out, but take note and you'll see. They only wanna tell you about the pieces you've been missing in your puzzle. I forever make them hold their peace. I'm the Amazon boy from the jungle. Yeah, that's right. And I'm the Jaguar. I am the Guyanese boy. I am the Guyanese boy. And now I'd rather throw the piece.
Right then, friends, we are back in the building. This is Brekky in the Cave, and we are moving into our second interview of the day. First of all, massive shouts out to Jafro for joining us. Was really good to talk through, obviously, everything involved with the album, everything he's currently got going on in regards to just working and constantly getting new music out there, and obviously talking about that legendary Black Box freestyle was really good as well. So, we're moving on to guest number 2, which is someone who I've known for a long period of time, someone whose show I've been on, I think, 2 or 3 times at this point, so it was about time I got him over onto Brekky in the Cave. Man like Benteki is in the building. How are you doing, my good sir?
What's good, man? What's good? How you doing?
I'm good, sir. I'm good. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on. I mean, you've been on Brekky once before. I think it was on guest mix duty.
Yeah, I think, was it like this time last year or something?
Yeah, it was around this time last year. It was a while ago, and I thought, you know what, this is one that I definitely feel would make for a good conversation and a good bit of discussion. Obviously, with all the different things you're involved in and all the different kind of people you have on the shows over the years, I think this is going to come down to a really good one. So let's go back to the beginning for yourself, which is a theme on this show. Obviously, you're someone who has been involved in sort of UK music now for quite an extended period of time. Like, what was the thing that drew you into getting involved with music?
It was literally whilst I was at university, I went to a really, really terrible uni. I went to Surrey University, and the music scene there was just like piss poor, terrible. Really like just flat tech house events. I'd always been into music as a kid growing up, just like collecting records and stuff. So just started to throw my own nights at uni. Kind of saw that side of it, and then just from there, from actually just throwing nights myself and like watching other people DJ, taught myself how to DJ from that, and then just started DJing at my own nights and just got more and more of a passion of it.
Okay, so it's pretty much something that's come, the DJing side of things. Then I'm assuming is something that's come pretty much directly out of being in that sort of live music atmosphere that you've put together yourself, essentially. Yeah, definitely, and also like I grew up in a friendship circle of all kind of music producers and DJs, and watching them do it before me. So I had like a lot of experience to learn from, and then it kind of just put two and two together, and I was like, I need to just learn myself and start playing the records that I really, really like and I really, really want to champion. And then I kind of did that throughout university, and as soon as I graduated, I was like, okay, you need to make a little stamp in London now. Moved back to London, obviously. And then Represent came about, like totally random. It was basically, I was looking for a job out of uni, and a friend of mine put me in contact with a station manager at Represent. Okay. I thought I was just going for like a production role, like to be like a producer behind the scenes or anything. I had a meeting with the station manager. His name's Adrian. Big up Adrian. And he said, "Had you done radio before?" And I lied, and I said yes. I said I did it. I did student radio. And he was like, "Oh, can we see any examples?" And I was like, "Oh, bruv, like Surrey Uni was so bad, we didn't even record the shows. It was that shit." So he literally just believed me, and he was like, "Yeah, you sound like you've been on radio before." And I was like, "Yeah, man, everything. Like I've been on radio for 2 years." Like, I love it. The straight up super blag. Yeah, and then that day he was like, "Well, I've got a slot in like an hour. Like someone's dropped out. Do you want to cover?" I think it was like 2 till 4, and I was like, "Fuck it, yeah, let's do it." Mad. Sorry, we allowed to swear. Yeah. We can. Why not? These are unusual times, my friend. These are unusual times. Anything goes. So I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." Covered the show. I didn't even do a mix. You know, it was like running the playlist off Myriad, that radio software. And luckily, like the Represent playlist at the time, there was loads of tunes in there that I knew. Like they weren't bait tunes, but it's like if you kind of knew your grime, rap, Afro beats kind of stuff, like you know the songs. So luckily, I had stuff to talk about. And I came off air, and he was like, "Yeah, that went all right." And I was like, "Yeah, that was good. I'd rather like play music I'm into." And he was like, "All right, pilot for a show." And it was luckily at a time where like Rep were completely transitioning into a new schedule, stuff like that. And they just moved into their new location in Pop Brixton, because formerly they were in Bussey Building in Peckham. So piloted for the show, interviewed my best mate, who's like a house DJ, probably the worst interview ever. But I DJ'd for like 2 hours. Yeah, gave him the show, and then got a weekly from there, and it's been 5 years. Mad. I mean, so like, 5 years doing this show that has grown into quite a Goliath to an extent of a project. Like I was saying this off air before we started this interview. Like a couple of the shows around the UK that really do showcase so many different styles and themes. Like we said, obviously the Marcus Nasty show is another one that's in a similar sort of vein. And I think these shows that aren't almost like genre limited. Obviously, like I'd say grime is kind of like the home place, but obviously you have bass people on. You have I've definitely seen some garage heads on there as well. Like it's a very kind of varied show. Yeah, definitely. I mean, grime is like the foundation that I started it on, and then it kind of transitioned into garage. And then at the time when I started it, obviously bassline just had its kind of resurgence and was really, really popping. I mean, obviously it still is, but it kind of had the new kind of bass house movement 5 years ago, so that kind of got incorporated into the show. And it's funny you say Marcus Nasty, because he's got the same time slot on the same day for the last 5 years, and we've always like had a little agreement that we're not going to like battle each other, and we've never been on each other's shows because we've always done radio at the same that's
time.
The madness. Do you reckon that'll ever happen at some point? Both of you go. That'd be a cool one to see, you and Marcus back to back, to be fair.
Maybe, yeah, because now I'm going bi-weekly, so I'm going to be every other week on Represent starting from the end of July. So Marcus, if you're listening, mate, I'm up for it.
I mean, that'd be sick to see, to be honest, because as I've said before, yours and his are the two shows that I always kind of look to. I look to the schedule for weekly to kind of go, like, who's on these two shows? Who do I need to be looking out for? Who are the people that are popping right now? And I feel to an extent your show's kind of grown into one of those that's almost like a rite of passage, if you know what I mean.
Oh, thank you, man. That means a lot.
Like, is that something when you sort of realised, oh, I'm going to be doing radio weekly? Was that something you kind of set out to do, or is it something that's kind of naturally developed?
I think it's naturally developed. Obviously, it's always nice bringing people through for their first like guest mix on radio, and like to kind of be put in that light to begin with. But it was more just about, I'm just into so much stuff, and it was just having a weekly show. Obviously, you got to kind of get a backlog of guests lined up with weeks to come and stuff. And it was just, I mean, obviously there's so much music being put out, and the UK is just such a healthy scene. So there's so many people to choose from. I mean, at times it has proven difficult to get guests, and obviously some guests take longer than others to say yes, but I mean, it's been a pleasure doing it, honestly.
Definitely, man. I think as well with yourself, I think the interesting thing about your show as well is obviously you do like to switch it up a fair bit. There's usually guest mixes, there's usually live MCs in there as well. Like you tend to jump into interviews as well. Do you enjoy that kind of interview process? I ask during an interview.
You know what? When I started, I'd get all the kind of the major labels emailing, because most of the major labels email Represent being like, we've got this person on a release, do you want to interview him? And you get the radio pluggers do that as well. And I used to obviously get gassed, because then you get the bigger guests, but you don't really know them personally.
Yeah.
So the interviews kind of come across a little bit rigid, maybe a little bit fanboy-y. I mean, yeah, it could come across like that. But then there's some interviews, like, for example, when I interviewed like Capo recently, or like someone like Manga, just some of these MCs that I just actually know personally on a level, and it just, you end up just laughing, and it seems like you're just talking to a mate instead of being like, so this new record sounds good, tell me how you made it. It's so rigid. And now obviously doing the show for 5 years, there's so many people in this scene that I'd classify as friends, so it's getting easier and easier to interview people. But yeah, I mean, I prefer doing the set and guest mixing stuff, to be honest. Definitely,
man. Like, I think the interesting side of this with yourself, obviously, is as being someone that is involved with it near enough every week. So you're in the building every week. I'm assuming you're someone who every day an email will appear in your inbox about the radio show. Like, I find like, how do you deal with that the kind of pressure of it? Because there is pressure to it.
Yeah, but also you just got to take it as flattery, to be honest.
In what kind of
want to be involved and get on the show, and even just like submit music.
Yeah, I think. I
don't really see it as pressure, to be honest.
I mean, that's interesting to me, because I've found when I was on a weekly, to an extent, like the pressure of making sure that you had all the individual elements there, you had all the new music in place, and obviously it works in different ways for different people. But as someone who is like with yourself, who is constantly looking to do like as many things within a show as possible, I would have assumed it had been quite a highly pressurized thing. But there we go. So with the show then. Obviously, I don't want to talk entirely about the show. I want to talk about other things you've got going on. But it's one of those ones. It was the first time I went on Represent was on your show. So that was something that I did enjoy doing. I think as well. What I wanted to ask was, in regards to like the biggest shows over the years, like which are the shows for you that really stick out?
So in terms of DJ wise, I think it was like my second year. I got Predator on. We did like a Love Box takeover, and having a guest mix from Predator was just, for me, it was like a really, really big pinnacle. And then people just in the scene that I've just looked up to for ages. So like Logan Sama, Champion, Motive, DJ Cable. One of the main ones that actually got me the most was getting Dreddy from Black Ops.
Okay,
that was a big thing for me. But yeah, they're always fun, especially when they come in and do it live. It makes it a big moment, to be honest. But I mean, MC wise, it's been, not to sound big headed, it's been too many to mention, really. I think the moment that kind of I had to pinch myself a little bit was when DEE came in, and I was like, "Rah, this is actually happening."
Yeah, like how was it interviewing DEE, man? Like that's like a boyhood dream kind of thing, surely.
It's funny, you know. It was a very, very funny experience.
I mean, me and Double are actually mates now, so we kind of look back on it and laugh. But when he came to represent, that was the first time I ever met him, and now I've just bumped into him so many times, and we actually chat a lot. But when he came into represent for the first time, it was just like, one, he turned up like 20 minutes late, classic, and two, he's like, if you ever meet, he's actually quite quiet and reserved.
Yeah.
So, and obviously, growing up, we see DWE as like this legend on a mic, energy.
Yeah. This guy that can utter 2 or 3 words and send like 1,000 people into an absolute ruckus.
Yeah, but in reality, he actually speaks really quietly and really slowly. So to interview him was, I'm not going to lie, was a little bit difficult. He's not the most chatty person in the world, but maybe that could have just been, that was the first time I met him. But the set was legendary, man. Yeah. It was really, really good.
Awesome, man. I mean, having those things under your belt is always going to be something I feel it's something you can always look back on as well and go, wow, that actually happened, That actually happened.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely,
for
man.
Sure.
Wicked. Okay, cool. So, what we're going to do is, before we move into like the sort of more a few things that you're working on at the moment and the more sort of like future side of things for yourself, we've got a couple of tunes to play. We're going to jump into this one first. This is one of the ones you said to run. So this one goes by the name of Serious Choices. It's Kid D featuring Novelist. So, talk me through this one.
I think Kid E is just a sick producer. Novelist has obviously cemented him in our UK scene forever. I mean, he's legendary, even at such a young age. And I think this track holds a lot of weight of what the world is going through at the moment and what we're seeing politically and what needs to be changed, to be honest.
There we go. I mean, we've had Kid D on the show. He described his sound as being a mature grime sound. So I think this kind of this ties in quite nicely to that to an extent.
Yeah, definitely.
There we go. Right then, friends, we are live on Cubcam TV, also Trickstar Radio, of course. It is Brekky in the Cave. Out to the locked-in crew, out to man like Karam locking in as well. If you are locked in, please do send us a signal, throw a like on the video and all that good stuff. Let us know where you're listening in from. Any questions for Benteki, please do send them over. And of course, hit that subscribe button. We're on the road to 600 this morning. Keep it locked. It's Brekky in the Cave.
This is too easy.
I got a lot on my mind, I gotta make serious choices. So many people, so many faces, so many voices. Still when it ends one day, we're gonna see more employment. Gonna be so wealthy, I share what's mine for my own enjoyment. Don't care for the road, don't care for the boy them. They used to hate all the songs we sang, but now they enjoy them. Called us noisome, now I got bread and I'm here rejoicing. Had to avoid them draw outs and I made serious.
When I'm over pops, this ring gold. No, we can't put the money on hold. Pattern up a rhythm and get the tune sold. We made up our mind, gotta stick to our goals. People be pushed up left on the roads. Can't be cold, gotta help out when they're low. Do you know what it's like when you ain't got nowhere to go? Trapped on your own, just wanna get stoned. Faded. Real, we all go through certain phases. Get your mind out of the gazing. I make beats that you cannot play with. Certified wizard and you know that I stay here. That's my choice in this life, no stress. Just trying to make everything blessed. Still mix on shows and mix on sets. Live and direct on our own. We ain't taking no losses. We fight for a cause, and we won't ever be stopping. Go get what's yours, but make sure they're copping. We got our own sound locked down, my guy, that's why we ain't flopping. Just last week they were acting a nuisance. How they scared of solutions. Get her putting in work, but it needs some improvement. Start making a movement. Nice with the format. Uplift the world full speed, my G, we ain't never gonna hold back. Watch how we're doing it now, but you better not try and make contact. Them man I got awkward energy. They're their own worst enemy. I feel the jealousy, I don't give a damn what they're telling me. Cause we got aims and goals. Watch how you move on road. Their vibes, we ain't into that zone. We're just trying to build a style and take the sound home. I got a lot on my head top. Gotta stay focused in life. Now the flow's easy. Now we all do what we like. It's all new settings. Gotta work hard and grind. The days getting longer. Now we're just waiting on time.
Right then, friends, we're back inside the building. Out to the locked-in crew this morning. It's been a very enjoyable show so far. Thank you to all of you who are subscribing to the channel as well. I can see your names popping up on a little list thing on the side, and everyone liking the video as well. So, what we're going to move on to next is a bit more discussion with man like Benteki, who is on the phone, and it's been very enjoyable so far. What we're going to do is kind of look at, obviously, music is pretty much your life now, isn't it? It's pretty much what you do 24/7.
Yeah. Nothing else.
Nothing else at all. So obviously, apart from radio, like what else are you involved with?
So I work at a company called Caroline International with a label services department for Universal Music Group. So just been doing international marketing here for about it's been about a year and a half now.
Okay, wow. What? How did you end up getting into that sort of side of things then?
Well, I mean, on the side of radio, I've always kind of been involved in labels behind the scenes. I started working at Circus Records when I was like 22.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I have to shout out to Bagnall and Andrew. They gave me my first proper label experience. Circus Records obviously is a famous old school label. Yeah, it was just, I was doing more like logistical stuff, and then I got into more A&R stuff once they knew about me doing radio and being in the kind of grime world. And then I was at Circus for about a year, maybe two, I think it was just under 2 years. And then I started working at a distribution company called Believe.
Yep, cool.
And they do distribution for tons of labels. I was working on some big labels like Shogun Records, Todd T's label as well. I was there for about just under a year as well, maybe a bit longer, and then kindly got snapped up by Universal. And yeah, I've been here for about a year and a half now.
Amazing, man. I mean, that's quite like it's an explosive kind of journey then. I mean, going into Circus, obviously, as to begin with, that must have been quite like a mad experience, especially with them being the kind of the label being in such a legendary state as they are.
Oh yeah, trust me. And also just like growing up listening to Dr. P, Flux, Cookie Monster, and then actually meeting these lot, you're like, right, these are actually real people.
Yeah, they're not like they're not just names; they actually exist as people.
Yeah, Funkcase as well. I've got to shout out. He's a sick guy.
Yeah, I've got a lot of time for man like Funkcase. He has been on the show as well, so do go and check out that podcast if you haven't already. I think the interesting thing with this story as well is it's something that's been very much just a constant kind of leveling up experience for yourself. It seems.
Yeah, man. It's just you just got to work hard and just build a network. You know. I think obviously I've been blessed to have some opportunities that I've been given, but you got to work hard really, and also you just got to know your stuff. And luckily that if you put the time in, you put the effort in, and also you really kind of engage in relationships and do research and work hard, stuff does happen. I know that sounds so moist in a way.
Yeah,
but
it's that proper. You know how mad it is, the amount of people I have on this show who kind of come on and say it sounds a bit cliche, but this and this, and it becomes almost like it's not even cliche. It's just the way things are.
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, the music industry is a tough world, but if you work hard, you will get rewarded in a way.
Definitely, man. I mean, something I do want to ask as well is obviously being involved, obviously with Universal and all these different labels over the years. I mean, I'm assuming you're someone who is obviously constantly in and out of emails and always like looking around and doing different sort of elements of music within the industry. Like, how do you keep everything kind of balanced and so you know you're putting enough time into each different bit?
Oh man, I hardly balance stuff. I'm running around like a headless chicken most of the days. I mean, to be honest, being in lockdown, I think I've done more work over the last 4 months than I have in the last year. Just because there's not really any distractions, you know. Normally going into the office, you're surrounded in a social environment. You've got to go to gigs during the week and stuff like that. And it's just been kind of like calmed and relaxed. But obviously, is that people are a lot more attentive during lockdown. You know, we've seen kind of like streaming figures go up and people just being more and more active because they want to be seen doing that. So it's actually been really, really busy, and managing it's getting there, but you know, it's good to be busy. Definitely good to be busy.
Definitely, man. I think this is the thing I found with kind of lockdown. I was going to ask how lockdown's been for yourself. I think I found to an extent the first couple of weeks was kind of like panic and confusion. Then I think everyone kind of got into a bit of a rhythm more than anything else. People kind of went, okay, we're going to be like this for a while. What can I do with the time? And I think we've seen a lot of projects pop up, realistically.
Yeah, man. I mean, some of the music that's been released in the last 4 months is timeless.
Yeah.
You know, and it's really good, and it shows kind of gratitude to the music industry that it hasn't just fallen on its arse and collapsed. I mean, obviously we've seen with the live industry, it's kind of been put on hold, and we're probably not going to see any live music until next year, which is a shame. But I mean, maybe we needed that to kind of reinvigorate the scene and see the real hunger in people, you know.
Definitely, man. I think. I mean, obviously, with live music as well, we're seeing a lot of different things pop today. I mean, there's a hashtag I'm seeing floating around today, which I didn't actually know was a thing, but it's let the music play. Like, do you know anything about this?
I've just seen this because my company just retweeted this, so I need to do a bit of research.
Yeah.
I wish you asked me this question in about an hour.
Yeah.
An answer.
Yeah, literally, I've only just seen it pop up in my inbox as well, so I'm going to make a point of checking everything out with
I think it's about supporting grassroots music.
Okay, yeah, I mean, even we can even jump into that now. Like, how important in general do you think that is to make sure that you are kind of going to the kind of smaller shows and supporting almost small? I don't even want to say local talent, because that's a cliche to say. That's a cliche that promoters say to end up not paying people. But I think, like, how important do you think that process kind of is?
Oh, it's you have to do it. You know, you can't just go to all the big shows and support the big people. You know, because every person kind of has its time, and you have to support the talent coming through. It's definitely what I've been trying to do on radio for the past 5 years. You know, showcase real talent that don't have a platform of their own, to be honest. So it takes people like us to kind of support them and nurture them in a way, but kind of just give them opportunities to speak to a wider audience.
Definitely, man. I think the interesting thing about radio or streaming or anything that's kind of like live in content as well, I think it does just add an extra level of excitement, an extra level of buzz. And I think the interesting thing with it as well is there are a few things that kind of measure up to that live environment.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you put grime, for example, nothing beats a grime rave live. Yeah. You know, the energy is unmatched. If you go see a baseline show, you know, for example, if you go see Crewcast live, you know, the energy is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing live can be replicated in your bedroom. And it's difficult at the moment because obviously there's a lot of people doing live streams, and we've seen Wireless are doing the whole kind of interactive thing this weekend. It's a difficult time, but people are trying to replicate that same energy you get at a festival or at a show or at a club in your bedroom. And it's difficult, really, because the main thing that kind of sets it aside from anything else is going through that experience with tons of other people, not just you alone in your bedroom. You know, it's feeding off the energy of the crowd. Like, especially me and you would know, it's like as DJs, you know, there's nothing better when you get a reaction on a record from a crowd of X amount of people. You know, that adrenaline can't really be matched by anything else.
No, it can't. I think as well. I mean, obviously, as you said, we're in an unusual time, and people. I actually love the fact that people are trying. That's the thing that I actually love about it. People really are trying to keep that kind of spirit of the rave alive. People are very much trying to keep that kind of energy level up. But unfortunately, there are things that can't be replicated. Even things down to like how a festival kind of smells to an extent. How the heat of a rave, like all these different elements that make it quite a synesthetic experience. I think replicating all of those, it is near enough impossible. Let's be real.
Yeah, it's impossible. You can't replicate the smell of terrible cider and BO.
Yeah, I mean, you can try. I mean, I try on a regular basis, but you can.
It's probably not one to try at home.
Yeah. So I mean, kind of moving forward then. With yourself, we've got a few minutes left, so I want to make sure we squeeze every last bit of information out of you as we can. Like what's on the way? Like what sort of what news can you give us? Oh, think we lost him. Have we lost you? Are you back inside the building? There he is. I can hear you now.
I can hear you now.
There we go. Yeah.
A little bit.
Cool. Yeah. So I was saying, what's kind of what news can you give us? Obviously on the way.
So I mean, starting in about 3 weeks and going bi-weekly on Represent, me and Kirby T are going to be alternating every Wednesday. Shouts to Kirby, man. Really, really cool guy. First show back. It's going to be first time on radio in 2 months. It's weird for me having a break this long. The first show back is with Strategy. I've got to shout out the Manchester crew each and every time.
Sick, that'll be
this one has been in the works for months. And listen to Strategy and Footsie's latest tune, man. It resonates a lot in today's world.
Sick.
And then work-wise, there's big projects coming out. You know, I'm putting out a big grime project at the end of July from one of the scene's godfathers, one of the scene's OGs. And then there's a lot of good UK stuff coming.
Awesome, man.
I don't want to give away too much.
Yeah, of course. As long as we know that there is something coming. That's the interesting thing.
Yeah, one thing I do want to shout out Mixtape Madness. It is the return of Digger D tonight, 7 p.m.
There we go. I'm excited for that. Do you know the good thing about that is it means I can react to it because I didn't know that was happening. Now I know, so I'm going to get myself ready from 7 p.m.
Yeah,
there we go,
man. It's gonna be a moment. Big up to Digger D.
Wicked, man. Okay, cool. Well, we've just about run out of time, so we're going to finish up with another tune from that you've sent over. This one goes by the name of On It, and it's from Intruders. So talk to me about this one.
Yeah, so basically, started producing now. This is my new drum and bass project alongside one of my best mates. He's called Ray Sargent. He does house production under the name Ray Sargent. We've come together making these drum and bass jump up tunes under the name of Intruders. This is our first one called On It. It's coming out real soon.
Awesome, man. Good stuff. Well, I want to say thank you for coming on the show, man. Obviously, this is one we've kind of had in the works for a while, and it's been really good to talk and just catch up in general, to be honest with you. It's been a minute since we spoke.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thanks for the opportunity, and hope you're well.
Yeah, you too, sir. You too. We'll do the introduction right at the end. There we go. All right, cool, guys. Thanks for locking in. We're going to be carrying on the show for an extra half an hour today because we do have a third special guest with us. We're going to be joined by Rants from around 31 minutes past. We're going to get into this one for the time being, though. Don't go anywhere, my friends. Hit that subscribe button. Of course, hit like on the video as well. Let us know where you're locked in from, and we'll see you in a second. Into a discussion with Rants in just a second. Bear with me, I'm just about to read.
Anyway, run the rhythm.
What's good? We have literally just gone live on the show. I was a bit slow getting the call across, but we are live on the line with Rantaman right about now. How are you doing, sir? You all good?
I'm doing good.
How are you?
I'm good, sir. I am good. It's been a bit of a hectic morning. Obviously, we've had a few guests on, and it's been an enjoyable one. So I want to say again, thank you for coming on the show. This is one we've kind of had locked in for a while, and there's loads of stuff for us to talk about. So yeah, what I want to kind of dive into first of all, with yourself. Obviously, you're someone who's involved in a fair few different things. So let's kind of go back to the beginning and ask the big question, the intro question that I love to ask guests on this show, which is, who is Rants?
So I am just a guy who I just do my thing. So I'm a journalist, photographer. Been about amongst like the underground music scene here in London for about a good few years now, doing my thing. And I own a platform called GRIMEY Mondays, which is just basically delving into the underground. Involves music, involves journalism, amongst other things. I also run a photography series as well called Through the Lens. So with that, I like to talk to photographers and filmmakers, video directors, and get to know them, because with that sort of thing, you obviously see MCs, models, people within those fields, but you never really hear about the people on the other side of the lens. So that's why I started that photography series. And is why I do the stuff that I do. I like to just document the things that you don't necessarily see straight away.
There we go. I mean, this is why this conversation is going to be a really interesting one then, man. Because obviously we met online. I think we met through, literally, I did a mix for GRIMEY Mondays. I think that was actually how we first started talking. And then
yes,
and
that's like you.
Yeah, I mean
that was people to do a mix for my series as well.
There we go. I mean,
that's another thing I do. I've got a mix series that I open up for DJs within like the 140 spectrum, but knowing me and the links that I have, and knowing DJs with what genres they're in, I just like to let them do whatever they want, because I know what their strengths are, and I just know, what, you just do you. Yeah. Because I know what you're about.
Definitely, man. I think as well with kind of mixed series as well. I think I've seen it quite often where people want a very specific thing every single time, and I think to an extent it just gets a bit boring after a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, that's why I like to try and keep it as varied as possible. I tell the guys involved, do your thing. Don't just stick to one genre. If you want to mix, grime with dubstep, with bass, if you want to go left field, do whatever you want. Like if you really want to go into like garage stuff, drum and bass, it's fine by me. Like the music, it should be forward thinking. It should be progressive. It shouldn't be stale where everyone's just trying to make the same sound and keep that going for a number of years. Otherwise,
yeah, I think
thing just becomes stagnated,
Yeah, I mean, obviously, as someone who essentially, I mean, obviously we're talking about multi-genre stuff here, but I would say like grime is kind of like the kind of the home base, that's kind of like the foundation of where obviously GRIMEY Mondays comes from, and I think the kind of stuff, the genres that you're kind of involved in. I think the interesting thing that I want to kind of discuss here is obviously you're someone who very much watches the scene, and you're someone who a lot of people know is like always watching. You've always got your eye on what's going on in regards to like new music and new artists and people on the come up. Do you enjoy that kind of side of things? That kind of side of just keeping an eye out?
When I was a little bit younger, I did, and I used to be like a sponge, just constantly listening to radio, constantly finding new bits of music. It's how I started this all off. So GM essentially was a blog, and it just gave me a space to just write about the stuff that I was passionate about, which was music, underground, that sort of stuff, and being able to interview MCs, being able to interview DJs, and from that it's now expanded to now I've incorporated my photography, my graphic design into it as well. I've now got my own portfolio as a photographer as well on my website, which is something I've been working on for months, and this year I was able to put that out. I want to put out an extension of that later this year as well, but it all comes from just me keeping my eyes and my ears sharp, seeing what's going on, who's about, who's like, who are people talking about the most, all right, then I'll give them a listen, and if I really like them, then yeah, I'm going to continue to listen to them.
There we go. I mean, like with the platform that you have kind of working with the platform that you're working with at the moment, like how much time do you kind of spend in that almost A&Ring process to kind of look at people and go, I want to get you involved with this, I want to get you involved with this? Like how long do you kind of spend, like, weekly, shall we say?
Honestly, if you think it's just a case of me literally just on my laptop or on my phone just constantly scrolling hours and hours and hours, it's actually not. I mean, I'm laid back. I just take things really, go with the flow. That's the sort of person I am. So if I just happen to stumble upon, you know, whether it's a DJ or an MC or even a show, and I just listen to them and I just think, you know what, this is cool. I'm going to keep my eyes on you, keep my ears on you, and then over a period of time, if I continue to see, you know, some consistency from you, and that includes like events as well, if I happen to be at an event and you're playing there, and I see good like interaction between you and the other artists that are there and the crowd there as well, promoters too, yeah, why not? I'll give you the push if I feel like it's right to do so.
Okay, cool. I mean, outside of grime, then, obviously we're talking a lot about grime on today's show because today I seem to have accidentally put three more grime associated people next to each other, which is not normally how I tend to do things. But I think the interesting thing about this that I want to kind of dive into is when you kind of look into sort of other genres and things like that. Like with Grimy Mondays, are other genres things you're like quite keen to incorporate in?
Absolutely, 100%. It's part of the ethos of the platform, where it is inclusive. I'm not a person that judges, so I find me within my own time, I listen to other genres other than grime. I don't just listen to just straight 140. I could be listening to dubstep, I could be listening to like hip hop, I could even be listening to some grunge from the 1990s. I could be listening to funky, you know, it could be anything that I want to listen to, and if I'm interested in it, then yeah, I'm going to listen to it, and then incorporating that with what I do with GM. It's the same process. That's how my mix series came to being, where I'm actually able to incorporate, you know, different DJs from different backgrounds. I mean, from that, I've got entries on there from Canada, from France, America, Russia, and I'm open to, you know, expand that to other countries and, you know, find other DJs who are doing their thing, not just within grime, but within whatever spectrum that they find themselves in.
Amazing, man. Like, I mean, obviously with the sort of more international approach, like how do you find that kind of process? Do you find people are just as up for it as from the UK?
To be honest, I find that people not from the UK are more passionate about our scene than people who are actually from the UK.
That's mad.
I really do find that. One of the guys that I called up, do you want to do a mix for me, was Moscow Legend, and he's a DJ from, I think he's from Moscow, Russia.
Okay.
And I remember talking to him. I sent a message saying, do you want to do a mix? And before I even mentioned it, he said, like, do you want me to do a mix with James? It was as if he knew why I was in the DMs. Like, he knew what I was about to say to him.
I mean, that's a madness as well, man. I mean, the whole
so that preemptiveness.
The whole kind of thing of
I really enjoy.
I was going to say that the whole kind of thing of obviously international support for kind of UK genres. This is something that I tend to see so often when you look at kind of people start to blow and you see them playing these shows abroad, and you see these like massive crowds of people turning up to see people perform, and they go madder than the UK.
They do, trust me. If you look, a recent example, Oblig, shout out Oblig, you see the way that he's managed to incorporate Brazil into his sets, you know, the ballet funk, the grind. They've got their own essence, they've got their own DJs, they've got their own MCs there. He's gone over there to Brazil, played sets there. They've been really receptive to him, and since he's come back from there, the relationship between him and them has gone from strength to strength.
It's sick to see, though. I think just that idea.
And there are many, bro. There are many examples of this. I remember when Skepta was doing promo things for his Konnichiwa album. This was like 2016, I think.
Yeah.
And I remember the Japanese. He was doing it in Japan. The Japanese were going crazy for it. Like they were going more crazy, more excited than fans here in the UK. It's nuts.
It is mad, and I think as well when we look at the fact that I think with grime more than anything else, grime is such a UK genre. Like it obviously in its roots, and it's born out of different UK genres coming together. It's born out of UK culture.
Yeah,
like
working class.
Yeah,
it's black. It's black in its origins, but then in its application, it is so working class. I mean, you look at the pioneers. You look at Wiley. You look at Skepta. People like Slimzy, Genius creating Rants FM and other pirate radio stations at the time. I'm pretty sure 20 years ago, those people were doing their thing, and they probably wouldn't have even dreamed of where we are right now with the state of the genre right now and how developed it is.
Definitely, man. I think more than anything else as well, when we look around at all the different, we look around almost at the fact that 140 music in general has grown into this almost Goliath that incorporates so many different things, and now we see drill coming off it as well. Like in regards to seeing how that's like that is being kind of taken internationally. Do you think the UK's in realistically its strongest position musically that it's ever been?
That's a tough one. I wouldn't say that because I feel like there's still areas to improve. There's still areas of development. I mean, you mentioned drill. Drill right now is what grime was back in the early noughties with the notoriety that comes with it. So it's the music and the streets, they are much, much closer. So these guys who are rappers, the stuff that they're talking about, some of them, they really do live those lives away from the music. They are in those dark places where it's nitty gritty, it's not nice, shouldn't be glamorized. In terms of the strength of the music scene here in the UK, definitely better, especially amongst the independent scene. I can definitely say platforms like Bandcamp, Juno Download, and the growing number of independent labels, including the ones that use vinyl as well, that it all helps. It all helps massively, rather than artists just trying to get, a massive label deal, which is what I was seeing like 10 years ago or so. More time, people are more willing to just believe in themselves and actually build a brand, build a platform, and just put out music on their terms rather than letting someone else be in charge of them.
Definitely. I think as well, obviously with the thing we often see discussed on timelines is the kind of internal structure of UK music, the kind of foundations, the almost like the scaffolding that holds everything up. It seems to be that there's almost like two sides to it. You have the kind of underground scene, and then suddenly some people kind of get sucked up into this more sort of bigger wave, and once you hit that bigger sort of stream, there seems to be not necessarily a disconnect, but there seems to be a bit of a. It seems like there isn't a
void.
Yeah, there isn't.
A void.
Yeah, there's this space in between where you kind of see people are either here. There's no kind of in between bit between being like essentially Spotify New Music Weekly, and there doesn't seem to be a space in between that and essentially being on the radio circuit.
Yeah, I find with rappers, MCs, to make the switch from the underground to the mainstream, that's really it for them. Like once you've hit the mainstream, people think you've hit the belly, you've made it, and at that point, I think the bar goes up to a different level, and the goals that you have as an artist have got to change. And I feel like there's a pressure for them that you're not allowed to go back to the underground. You can't go back, otherwise it just looks as if like you failed.
Like
I can't imagine someone like Stormzy, like with the success that he's had, with the albums that he's had, with the tours that he's had, just suddenly pop up on a radio show unless he's got something very important to announce.
Yeah, I think as well. Like, do you think that kind of, as soon as people stop doing that kind of radio circuit sort of side of things, as soon as people stop doing that, do you find that almost to an extent, they kind of lose a bit of their edge?
To an extent, but you have to think when you're going to radio, when you're going to the sets that and these could be in the evening, or it could even be the graveyard shift. This could be like the early hours of the morning, that sort of stuff. Why are you going to radio? What purpose is it, and where are you trying to go with this? If you've
done that, you've put the hours in, you've got the match fitness there, and then you've used that as a springboard for bigger and better things, why are you suddenly going to go back to radio again unless there's a purpose, a deeper purpose behind this? This is why I say with someone like Stormzy, if he's going to go back to radio and do a freestyle or spray some bars on a set, to me, there has to be a deeper meaning behind this. And I'm thinking, right, either he's going on tour, he's got new merchandise coming out. If he's just going to radio just for the sake of it just makes me think, okay, maybe he's just doing it out of the love, but is it really necessary?
Yeah, I get what you mean. Like it's like, to an extent, it could be seen as pandering to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with that as well, like it's obviously when you hit that more sort of mainstream stage, there is definitely that element of wanting to maintain that, almost to an extent, that more sort of corporate professional reputation as well.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's always a good thing, to not lose that edge. Otherwise, you become out of touch, especially with those who are your core supporters, those who supported you from the start. Like literally, when you made that the beginning of the trip, the ascent, and those people at the core were the ones backing you. Those are the same people that you don't want to lose, because if you lose those core people, then you lose your structure.
Yeah, I think, and to be fair, that does make complete sense to me. It does make complete sense. Kind of moving on with this then, obviously, because we've still got about 10 minutes on this one, so I want to make sure we cover everything of yourself. The photography side of things as well. Like, how long has that been involved with Grimy Monday since the start, or is that something that's a completely separate entity?
Well, I picked up the camera just over a year ago, and honestly, with what I've been able to do with my photography and then graphic design as a result of that in the last year or so, I've gone way beyond my own expectations. I mean, I have my own portfolio. I've been able to shoot at places, all across London, radio sets, events, just all little bits and pieces. And it's just been so good to get my name out there, find out about other photographers, find out about, other musicians, and even other opportunities away from music altogether. So with the photography, that's definitely going to be intertwined with Grimy Mondays, no doubt about that.
Okay, cool. Like, when you say kind of photography, though, what do you mean more? Like, is there anything specific to this? Is it sort of portrait stuff? Is it event photography? Yeah. Is it like general lifestyle
stuff? Portraits for sure will definitely be more of that coming from me. The event stuff. With the event stuff, I feel like in the year or so that I've been about, I've done a lot of event stuff, so people seem to like it, so that's going to continue as well. I also like to do architecture. I'm into brutalism. Although with that, I like to treat that more as a hobby. Okay. But I like the fact that I've got that to my game as well. It just gives me something different to do. It's not just the same either portrait photography or events photography. I've got something else that I like doing, which is a little bit different, but it just gives me it gives me the opportunity to add new things to my skill set that I wouldn't get from portrait photography, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, of course. Like, I think as well, like, the question I always ask of people that are involved in so many different things is, how do you find the time to balance everything?
I like to balance my energy. It can be difficult to think like I don't want to bite off too much than I can chew, and sometimes I can get really excited about a new project and just like dive into it, and then part of the way through I'm thinking, right, this is a lot to do. I've had a lot to do, and sometimes, it's not sometimes, a lot of the time with me, whenever I finish a project, I normally go into like a down period for like a week afterwards, because I'm just like, it took me so much effort to start the project, finish the project, that my brain just needs time to just cool off before I can get the energies back up again and take on the next challenge,
Yeah, definitely.
I've just got to learn how to balance my energies, balance my time, and figure out what projects are really worth doing and what maybe just leave for a little bit later.
Okay, cool. I mean, this is all really interesting stuff as well, because obviously with this show, we tend to kind of interview artists, we tend to interview DJs and producers and rappers and stuff, but what I'm trying to do a bit more with this show is more sort of showcase people that are involved in these scenes, that are involved in these areas, that aren't necessarily the ones on the mic, you know what I mean?
Yeah, which is exactly why I do what I do. I like to try and find these people away from the mics, people who are behind the scenes, behind the camera, people you won't even know even exist, but they play a massive part in, the running of, our scene. I mean, with people that I've interviewed, I've interviewed MCs, I've interviewed DJs, but I've also interviewed other people. I remember interviewing Keep Hush, Fred and Freddie, a couple of years ago, because I really wanted to know more about,
Like how did that kind of go down then? Because obviously, I would always assume that the sort of interviewing a brand is always quite different to interviewing an artist, isn't it?
Well, the way I looked at it, I've been going to Keep Hush events for about a year or so at the time, and I really liked what they were doing. So it just made me think, right, I want to know more about these people. So I hit them up. I met Fred and Freddie at Liberty, which is they've got a little office in Brixton. Met the two of them there. We spoke for about, I can't remember how long we spoke. Maybe it was like 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and it was just me finding out about how they started off, how it all started out for them in like 2015. I think they rented out like an office somewhere in Soho, and they started streaming from there. And the little stories that they told me about and what their future plans were. And it was great, and me being able to, transcribe all of that and create an artwork for that, and just, do my part in telling a story that you may not have necessarily heard had I not made the effort to do that in the first place.
Definitely, man. I mean, it's all very exciting stuff with Grimy Mondays, and we are coming towards the end of the show, so I want to make sure we get as much information out of this as possible. Let's kind of talk about the future then. So what's on the way for yourself and the Grimy Mondays page?
So at the moment, I've recently just started something new in line with Black Lives Matter. It's a playlist called Black is Dead, where I want to bring various tastemakers together within music scene and just ask them to create playlists that celebrate Black culture and Black excellence. And with that, I've already got the first playlist done. Big up Holly Mingo. She's an artist from Bristol. She did the artwork for me, the cover artwork for that as well. And I thought, you know what, because you've done this for me, I'll give you the first swing. So she's created a playlist. It's live now on Grammy Monday's Spotify page. Go and listen to that, because it's just basically the sort of music that she listens to when she makes her artworks. And then if you go on Grammy Monday's Instagram page as well, there's also like a mini interview there as well, where I've created extra content to go with the playlist. So I asked her a few questions and her answers as well, that also incorporates the playlist as well.
Okay, cool.
Because that's what I really like doing. I love making content where I can actually incorporate different things together. So I managed to incorporate like an interview and the playlist at the same time.
Wicked. Yeah. I mean, the whole layout of the page is something that I really appreciate, and I like the fact as well, as you were saying earlier, that you are, even with this, you're going to an artist first rather than like a music artist. You know what I mean? Like, I think the whole kind of layout of it as a project just it just kind of looks very original. It seems very original. More than anything, it feels very, very authentic.
Yeah, I mean, one of the mantra really for Grammy Mondays is substance is dead, substance abuse is.
Oh, I think we've lost. Hello, can you hear me?
And that in itself sounds like a bit of a use your brains. Don't be a sheep. Be a shepherd.
Yeah,
that sort of mentality.
Yeah, amazing, man. I think that rings very true with just how consistent it is. Right, we're going to finish up there. Then we've only got a few minutes left of the show, but I wanted to say, Rants, thank you for coming on the show this morning. It's been really good to talk. It's been really good to kind of sit and listen to how the projects came together and your sort of thoughts on the UK scene in general. I want to say, well done. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you. You're more than welcome, man.
Good stuff. We're going to finish up here then. We're going to jump into this one from Charlie Trees to round off today's show. It is a Friday tomorrow, which means, of course, we are going to be getting into Fresh Fridays come the morning. Our two guests, obviously, we've got Duke Sky in residence, and we are going to be joined by Dakota 6 as well. So, yeah, stick around. Make sure you are hitting that subscribe button, as you can see by clicking that little button down there, as you can see below. Socials-wise, Rants, what can people get you on?
So Instagram and Twitter, you can follow me at its_rants, RANTS. Instagram, Twitter as well, Grimy Mondays, so GRIMEY, and then Mondays, it's all one word. And then my website is www.grimymondays.com, and you can see the good stuff. You can see my portfolio there. You can see the new Black is Dead playlist there on the main page. You can see my photography series, Black is Dead. You can also see my mix series as well. I've got a new mix coming out quite soon as well. So the most recent one that I've had done was by Josie. That was a few months ago, but I've got another one sorted out. I've even managed to, this actually happened Sunday last week, just recently. I had a takeover show for Iso Dread, a label called Iso Dread.
Yeah.
Shout out Neil. And yeah, I was able to get Illa Brugal, Ghastly, Cameo, and Drum Terror involved for that curation of that show. So I've been keeping myself really busy during quarantine. It's been a really good period for me.
I was going to say, like, yeah, I mean, it sounds like you're super, super busy. And the thing is, I think what we might need to do at some point is do a second version of this show and do a bit of a recap a little way down the line and see how everything's going with yourself. Because I'm just very excited. I'm very excited to see how everything goes.
Yeah, I'll be up for that.
There we go. Right then, friends, we're going to finish up there, as I said before. This one coming from Charlie Trees. Quickly, before we get into that, if you are listening via the YouTube, you can check out the podcast for this show over on Spotify, Apple Music, and SoundCloud. All you need to do is search Breakfast with KXVU, the interviews. And finally, a quick word from our sponsors, Sharpen Digital, an amazing social media company. If you have a project that you feel you want to give a bit of a social media push, hit them up. They are the alternative to hiring social media managers, and they are, of course, the official sponsor of Brekky In The Cave with myself, KXVU. That's it from me today, though. We'll be back same time tomorrow. That is 10 till 12. Dakota 6, Duke Sky, and it is, of course, Fresh Fridays. Loads of new bangers on the way. And, yeah, we shall speak soon. Peace.
Tell anybody on a set trying to swing it out on a rhythm that wanna swing the landslides. Few grown man wanna act all alpha and try bullying and they think that that's fine. Working the time that I kicked is at night. I was growing up in the sticks where rap's dry. Now I'm here, I don't wanna mix with bad vibes, so just put on a rhythm that's sick on man rides. All men crying, last time I cried in my life, wanna duck from the bits and then died. Sometimes I think that I wish I knew them, what I learned about chicks, but that's life. Olders were trying to misguide me and that, but I won't fall for none of that con man's wife. Now I'm knocking at the door like X to the Z word, but I'm not coming to pimp a man's ride. No, I ain't getting tellies or rinse from Mad Mike. To anyone who tried wrong, do man, tell him it's over, cause I ain't a tit for tat type. I'm not the kid to act fly, cause I don't wanna attract that energy. I don't wanna slap that enemy, I just wanna yak that Hennessy. I don't wanna catch that felony, I can never stab man, never me. So love's our smile back, my vibes don't like all that. Free up the pine and glam. So love's our smile back, my vibes don't like all that. Free up the pine and glam. So love's our smile back.